Hi.
Hey, hi. We're with Kim Allison,
Yes.
Trendy with Kim Allison.
That's right.
Let's get it going. How's it going?
It's going. It's going. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily feel the most comfortable on this side of the mic, but here I am.
Well, we're doing things that are out of our comfort zone, right?
That's right.
So we can step into what we've been called to do.
I agree. I think that we have, we met and then we were separated and then we came back together.
Yeah.
I think it's for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that possibility and to see where
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw such a behind the scenes, like you stuck with it, you did your thing, you grew from 0 followers to now, what is it, like 5?
And it's like
more?
almost 7.
Almost 7,000, which is amazing, which is just only, what, like a year, 2 years?
Yeah, I started this journey originally, if you remember, back in 2021, and we thought we were going to be an education, like a course type of thing. Not sure that was ever my niche, although I love the new hairdressers. I just love them so much. And I think to be that bridge between beauty school and that long, successful career like I've had, that's where I'm happy.
Yeah.
And so whatever that is, I think we're still trying to map that out, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's what's beautiful about this is like you said, we started as like, oh, let's build a course because you have such a wealth of knowledge, which we're going to get into, obviously where you started and all that. And we wanted to, like, I think there was such a big craze of like building a course. If you're a professional, it makes sense to build a course. You hear all these millionaires, billionaires saying like, you want to make money while you sleep, so build a course, share your knowledge. And I mean, I think we can agree. I know you went to cosmetology school, but when you're learning from a professional, like hands-on, there's just a much more of a wealth of knowledge that goes into
and
it.
I want to circle back to something you said because I love podcast, which is why I'm also so excited that I'm in that world now. But one of my favorites is School of Greatness with Lewis Howes, and he just had a guest on. His name is oh my God, I cannot believe I'm so bad with names. Alex is his first name, I'm pretty sure. And I can't remember even the company because he was just so smart. His wealth of information at such a young age just blew my mind. And one thing he said, he advised, because he amassed, wealth. Like he made, I think he sold this company for $40 million, and now he's worth over 100. And what he was saying is all of these younger entrepreneurs, they're taught, you want to make passive income, you want to make money in your sleep. He said, but what they're forgetting is you got to make money while you're awake first.
Yeah, that's
and
facts.
that just, boom, mic drop for me.
Yeah.
Because people want to skip over that step and they want to, like what he was saying, he said, skill is getting lost. And he said something his grandfather told him, you have two, and my his dad had told him the same thing. You have 2 hands and a brain, use them. That's your most valuable tool.
Right.
But people want to skip over the skill now and go straight to the finish line when you are no longer investing really in your education. And so that part I want to drive home for younger hairstylists who in turn are entrepreneurs. Unless you are a commission stylist and you work in a big salon, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you've got to, in order to be successful, the years of education that came before the success for me, you almost forget about it. It's almost like a blip in this whole process is that all of the work that went into it in the beginning.
So let's kind of like start from the beginning. Like who is Kim Allison? What got you into hairstyling? Where did your passion and heart grow to want to teach others? But let's start with, like, who is Kim Allison?
Kim Allison, the little Kim Allison, if we can go back that far, because it's been a long time, y'all. But the young Kim Allison, didn't know. I mean, you know, when you reach this age, if you're lucky enough to reach this age, right? Which is why I revere older people so much more now than I ever have. If you're lucky enough to live a long life, you have this snapshot. It's a beautiful thing into this highlight reel of your whole life. You can just flip back. I mean, as anytime birthdays come up now, that scroll for me is long. Getting to my year, I'm like, oh Jesus, I remember, and it's just like couple of strokes. But anyway, when I was younger, I had a club, and it was my sister and I and two other sisters. And the older sister and I were besties, and the two youngers were besties, and the four of us formed this group. And we called ourselves the Sweetheart Club. And we wanted to raise money so that we can afford to go skating, to buy matching outfits, all of these things. So with the help of my mom, she helped me structure it. And I was the president. We had a treasurer. We had a secretary. And then my younger sister, she was just a part of the club because she always tagged along, right? So we would do bake sales. We would do dance competitions. Wow. And thanks to my older sister, she's a creative. She loved to write plays. She loved to choreograph dance moves and all these things. So we would practice and rehearse these shows and then charge our neighbors $2 to get in, and it would be a full house. My mom, she worked at a preschool called Head Start. She was an administrator there. She would bring all the chairs from there. And we did photocopies back then. She would, you know, we had programs to hand out. My brothers were security so that there was no nonsense or shenanigans at the door. So it was a whole thing. And so I didn't know I had a business, but I was 9 years old and I had crazy. A business.
Yeah.
And we were able to do all the things we wanted to do with the money that we raised. Yeah. And so that, along with my grandmother, she was a hairdresser. She couldn't stay in it for long because she was allergic to the chemicals. But she worked in a hair salon. She was an assistant for many years, and that's where she found her joy, an assistant and a nanny. Because when my grandfather died, he pretty much took care of her. So she had passive, little jobs. But she would bring all these things home from her hair salon. Yeah. And I have two sisters, and I just, it was like joy, happy. They were kind of like, whatever. You know, they like to cook. They like to do other things. But with the hair products, I would use every single thing she brought.
Did you work on them?
I worked on them. I was like the resident hairstylist for picture day. And my sister, God bless her, my younger sister, my baby doll, I would do her hair like 10 different styles the night before. Wow. No, I don't like that one. Let me take it all down. And she's like, oh my God, when am I going to be able to get up and go on about my day? I'm like, no, I have other ideas. So that was me. I didn't know I was a hairdresser, and I did not know I was an entrepreneur. But when I look back, it was always there.
It was always there. It was like engraved in you.
Pretty much. Yeah. So coming out of that, I thought, because I'm a Gen Xer, and Gen X's, we were 2-car, 2-income family, 2 BMWs, business cards. We were bosses. We were we were high-powered women. That's what we were taught to be back then. And I thought I was going to be this executive. I thought, because fashion is my other love. I've always put my clothes together and all the things.
Which I feel like it goes hand in hand with the hairstyle and the fashion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you always hear the phrase like, what makes a car are the wheels. And I feel like for people, what makes the person is like the hair, and then it's like the outfit secondary. Oh,
absolutely. And they mimic each other. Yeah. And I say that all the time. Hair mimics fashion, because whatever fashion is doing, hair has to complement the fashion, and fashion has to complement the hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so that was what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to travel the world and buy clothes for a major designer. That's what I thought I was going to do, and do it at a corporate level. And then my beautiful blessing came along right out of high school. My grown man son, Justin, and that changed the trajectory a little bit. But you know what? That was what it was supposed to be. Yeah. So I shifted gears. I went to college, but I also worked there at the same time to make ends meet. The struggle was real because I decided to be an instant adult by having a child. Yeah. Right?
How old were you when you?
I was 3 weeks into 19.
Wow. Okay.
So he grew up with me, poor boy. He had to go through everything, right, with me. But that's my road dog. I love him. I love both of my boys. But anyway, I found myself working at ASU and going that corporate route until I was like, what am I doing here? I don't know. I'm doing a great job because I keep getting raises and promotions. But what am I doing here? Is this my life? Is this my future? So later on, I'm 26, which is pretty late for a hairdresser. I said, I pass that beauty salon or that beauty school every day on the way home from work. And I would look at it like, oh, you know what? I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And hairdressing was something that always came natural.
Right.
And I was in a continuing education class for work. And it was a time management course. And back then, 100 years ago, it was called Franklin Time Management. And it was this whole system of managing your time. So in that training, we did an exercise. And she said, where do you want to be 5 years from now? Right? Cliche question. And she said, but we're going to map it out. So you say what you want, where you want to be standing 5 years from now, and I'm going to teach you using the time management system how to map that out. So I said, I want to be a business owner. I want to own my own business. And she goes, okay, well, what does that look like? What are you good at? What are you going to open? Yeah. What is it going to be? I said, I think I can open a hair salon because I love doing hair. I love fashion. I love that world. And it's something that comes natural that I'm passionate about. And she said, okay, so what do you need to do to be a hairdresser? I said, well, I need to start beauty school. She says, when? And I said, well, she said, how long does beauty school take? I said, well, it takes 10 months, but because I have to work, it will take me twice as long, 2 years. And she says, okay, so put a date 2 years from now of when you will be done with beauty school. So I actually wrote a date, October 4th, 1996. That's how long ago this is.
Wow.
And she said, okay, so then what? You graduate beauty school. What's next? And I said, well, I would imagine I have to work for someone to learn the business. And she said, how long are you going to do that? Put a date. I'm like, oh, okay. It makes it real, though, when you put dates. Then we went on from there all the way up. And I followed that like to the 9.
Yeah.
I followed it and everything in between. Like I was 7 months pregnant. 2 weeks after that class, I turned into that beauty school and I just signed up. It was 7 o'clock at night.
7 months pregnant with your second child?
7 o'clock at night. When I left that place, got home and I told my ex-husband, I said, yeah, so I enrolled in beauty school and I start on Monday. He's like, wait, what? And I'm like, yes, I start on Monday because I have a deadline. I have to be done with beauty school October 4th, 1996, no matter what. And he said, wow, well, I'm proud of you. Okay, he was always a fan, a cheerleader. Yeah. So that was awesome because one thing he told me, and I don't even know if it was him or my bestie at the time, Michelle, But when I was saying I'm too old, and when I said, oh my God, I can't start now, she said, do you want to be, if you're 26, do you want to be 28 still feeling like this, or 28 and finished with beauty school?
Yep, great perspective.
Well, that part, right?
Yeah.
Period. So I did it. I went to beauty school, and I had a horrific, pregnancy, all that stuff. I almost died. That having my last son, all of that stuff, had to take time off. So that meant I have to work twice as hard to catch up. But I did it.
Wow.
So I did it, and then I worked at Toni & Guy for the time I needed to learn the business, and I think they did it at the highest level, especially in the late 90s, because they were the number one education company in the world at that time. So that taught me everything I needed to know. My mentor, Jerry Watkins, he was one of the owners of that franchise, of the Arizona franchises. He, I don't know. I couldn't be who I am today had I not been under his tutelage.
Yeah.
That whole experience. So I was junior designer to top designer to art director level 1. That's where I ended. I went to beauty schools to help educate and promote our company. I ran the assistance program for all the Toni & Guys in Arizona. I mean, I was a manager. I literally wore every hat. So I felt like I was prepared, But big franchises, big corporate salons, or just commission salons in general, they don't like you to leave.
Okay.
And I didn't realize I was going to have to be jumped out of a gang. I thought I would just quit because I thought it was like a job. But apparently it was more like a cult. I don't know.
Wow.
Because there was no support. There was, oh my goodness. I mean, people that I worked with who I trained, some of these people, they couldn't even talk to me if they saw me in the mall. Or if they saw me on the streets.
So, because you left.
Because I left.
You were, not associated with them, so they just kind of, shunned you?
Almost like you were excommunicated. I thought, is this...
Like leaving a religion, basically.
Correct. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
What
And
the
I was
heck?
like, oh, wow. And that could be a whole nother episode. And it's no shade. That's just what it was. I'm just telling my story from my point of view.
Okay, let's back up for a second. Because there's a lot of great nuggets in there. So from the ages between 9 and 19, were you still hairstyling, behind the scenes?
I was always doing someone's hair without being a licensed hairdresser. Absolutely.
And how did you learn to even start doing
hair?
Yes.
Just with my hands and with my imagination. And with some of the help of my grandmother.
Did you use, that's true, you had your grandmother to kind of
And my sister. So my older sister, she would braid hair. So she knew how to do all the beaded work, the cornrows. We had these beads in her hair, all these styles, because she is still to this day one of the best braiders I know.
It's a beautiful thing because it's whatever it is that you've kind of have been put on this earth to do, it's just in your DNA.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even though you were just doing that as a side, and then you got into corporate America, working for ASU, that thing was still living inside of you.
That's right.
Where it took the constant views of almost God showing you, driving past the school every day and seeing it, and it's almost reliving those moments when you were younger.
Yep.
That you're I cannot shake this thing that's inside of me.
I swear, you're preaching, because I always say, you don't find hair. It's almost like hair finds you. It doesn't matter which direction you turn. It's going to find you.
Yeah.
If you were meant to be a hairdresser, because it's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Man, there's so many things. So when you started working for Toni & Guy, because as soon as you were done, and I don't even know if you want to get to this extent, but how is it worth it to go to cosmetology school? And I think you need to only to get licensed, right?
That's a loaded question in our industry right now because it just education in general, right? People are even second guessing going to college for, any profession. I would say yes, it is worth it to go to cosmetology school, and here's why. Because if you skip past cosmetology school, it's like entering the Wild Wild West. It gives you no structure. It's like going to the first grade without going to preschool first.
Right.
When, in essence, preschool and kindergarten kind of feel the same, but they're not the same. Because I can't teach you how to hold shears. I can't teach you how to part. I can teach you that, but I don't want to. I want you to already know how to do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that is what cosmetology, I can't, knowing theory and really getting it down so that you can, just expound upon it later so that you can perfect it. You can go to continuing education after that with some semblance of kind of foundationally what all of that stuff means. So yes, we need cosmetology school. And even though everybody says, oh, it just teaches you how to sanitize your equipment and that's it. And it says, but here's what I say to that. Should you not know how to properly sanitize your equipment? Your clients deserve that. Mm-hmm. I know you get out of cosmetology school and then all of that's out the window. You're using the same comb all day, the same cape all day. You're not, sanitizing your shears or your implements. You're not. If you walk into any salon, right, or especially studio salons, there's hair in those brushes. There's stuff everywhere, and that's why when state board comes, everybody, is running through the building. State board is here. Oh my God. And everybody's like, trying to get their brushes clean and make sure they have their safety kit, the blood spill kit, all this stuff handy, when that's the kind of stuff cosmetology school should really drive into your head. Yeah. Even more than they do.
Because I think a lot of people think they go to school, they're going to learn all these amazing hairstyles. So as soon as they get out of school, they can start doing all that. And I think that's where the miscommunication is. And so it leads people thinking like, I'm going to know my stuff by the time I pay all this money to get out of school. But in all honesty, it's just prepping you so that it's saving the time of the studios.
100%.
That's what it sounds like. So where it's like, I don't have to teach you. It's like if somebody came in through and it's like, I don't want to teach you how to operate the camera and set the lighting. Like, you should already know this.
Exactly.
Or we could just focus on the delivery.
True.
Like come in, set the lights, set the cameras, shoot the client, then it's going to post right away.
Correct.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I didn't even know that, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah. It's like you don't, most careers, professions, whatever you learned in school, you're going to use probably 20% of that in the world, and the other 80, you're like, why am I learning this? And then somewhere down the line, you're like, that's I know this, right? Yeah. So yes, I believe that beauty schools are definitely needed. I think they can probably improve a little bit more and not be so vanilla. I think.
What do you mean by vanilla?
What I mean by that is it seems to be, what is the word I'm looking for without being offensive? It seems to
be... More diversity?
That too.
Okay.
I think they were getting better, honestly, with that. But beauty schools they look like a concentration camp. They're just not nice. You know what I mean? You don't want to go there. I mean, some stepped up their game, I guess. Maybe they're getting better. But it's almost like being institutionalized. Okay. Versus, I don't know. I think they can just have a little more edge, a little more real life experience, which they give you because you do have clients that come in that you get to work on. I guess you do graduate to the floor. I'll have to reframe that in my brain later on and try to articulate that a little better.
I feel like there could be an opportunity there.
There could be.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
fine-tuned,
refined, refining something there. Because I know, so as soon as you left Tony and Guy, and you got shunned, by the Mormons.
Yes,
I'm not
sure
gonna
did.
Say that. What was the next step? Like, what did you do right after that?
Yeah, so we went to. I left with a partner.
Okay.
She and I were their top performers as far as selling retail was concerned. We would always get number 1, number 2. We would kind of compete with each other. We worked very hard to make sure that our 40%
within Tony and Guy?
Mm-hmm,
okay.
That our 40%, we were managers together. Our careers were kind of parallel. We started the same day, all the things, right? Her name is Christina Huckstra. And we together left and went to work in a small studio that was owned by a makeup artist who turned out to be a complete psychopath and ended up kicking my partner out. They went to court. It was awful. It was awful. That's a whole nother story. But
were there red flags along the way?
Oh, my God. Red flag number 1, you're not a hairdresser. So you set up a makeup studio over here, or an esthetician. She was trying to do skincare or something in this tiny little room, but it had 2 hairdressing stations. So she wanted to, sublet so that she can profit.
Which is smart.
Right? But she didn't know how to manage hairdressers. And her husband, worse than her, and he was all up in it. And we're like, bro, you need to back up. Like just silly things like don't put that there, wanting it to be neat and tidy all day. It's like, we're hairdressers, right?
They were stepping into your, like, as clients would come in to get their hair done, they would tell you how to run it.
Sometimes, and then we always got the talk. And so after, okay, so we're going to need, for such and such not to sit in my chair because, we're in a room the size of your frickin' master bathroom. Like, where are we going to sit?
Right.
Where are we going to set up our stuff? Yeah, there might be hair flies everywhere.
Yeah.
It honestly does. We were neat. We were clean, and but it was never enough. So that was a horrible experience. And because of her, and again, my partner was more mouthy than me. I was trying to keep the peace, but she was more pop off. She would pop off. So she got canceled quick. She was like, no, you got to get out today. And there was no plan B. So that was the birth of, I will never mother effer work for someone else again. I will always be the owner and in control of my destiny.
Yeah.
So, and never look back. Been working for myself ever since.
So as soon as you guys got kicked out, like, what was the plan? Like, what was the mindset?
So she and I, we ended up, because the owner of the Salon Suite place, he loved us. And so he finagled something and got us a spot. And it was a spot for 3 because my other partner, who ended up being my partner later on, Vanessa Jasper, she was a colorist, and we somehow got her fired from Tony and Guy because, again, we defected, right? And so she was still working there, but we were all still friends. So they just got in their heads. She got the talking to one day, and she walked in with color all over, because we had to wear all white back then, color all over her apron. She comes into our studio, and we were still with the makeup artist, and she's like, and we're like, hey. And she goes, yeah, so I just got fired. So, and we're like, oh, no. Oh, no. So we had to find a home for her.
Yeah.
So she was next door kind of working with that girl. There was a girl next door that let her sublet her chair on the day she didn't work. It was crazy. And she goes, they said I was feeding you guys clients. I wasn't. And then she goes, and she got talked to, what did the one head
What does it take for a person to just be secretly watching.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Covert, like,
covert
this
op, like,
covert operation. It's like, it's not that deep, bro. You're anyway.
Oh gosh.
He told her, I'll never forget, one of the head stylists, he said, we're trying to weed out the weak. It was like the year 2000 or something, and we're trying to weed out the weak.
So why don't you weeding yourself out? Because you're...
That, period. And so we're trying to weed out the weak, and we just don't see, you're just no longer a good fit or something, some BS.
It's so funny when people feel threatened. They just...
I swear to goodness, and that whole operation ain't in operation today. So that whole thing... she got let go, just like the rug pulled from under her feet. She had no opportunity to say goodbye to her clients, obviously, because they think you're going to take them, which that's a whole nother thing that people are going to, if they're building a business, at some point that client is coming to your business, but for that stylist specifically. Yeah. Because they keep requesting the same, even though you have 40 people working here, they keep requesting that one stylist.
Because they love their work. They love them as a person. They build a relationship.
You own your hands and your brain, right?
Exactly.
And your creativity is yours. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing you can do about it. You're never going to win. So you might as well just get used to it. It just comes with the territory. And you should celebrate the stylist that can amass a following, build a clientele, and go and succeed on their own.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
It's in those moments, I feel like, where we're really tested. Like, it's, all right, this happened. What are you going to do next? Right. And that didn't stop you guys from, essentially, it's almost like those rooted 9-year-old Kim came out and was like, well, shoot, I was running a business back then. Why can't I just do it now?
That's right. That's right. And then too, I think business owners, because I've been on both sides, they underestimate the power of the actual client. In the end, the client is the boss. Yeah. Because without them, you don't have a job.
Exactly.
And so they didn't come here for your pretty building. They came here to get their hair done by the person that makes them feel pretty. Yes. So, or handsome, right? Yeah. And so our clients, that's why when people put mean comments, content creators, and then they don't even have to say anything because the viewers, they go in. Yeah. That's what happened. When we left, the clients were fired up. They're like, "Oh no, you're going to succeed because I'm going to tell my aunt, my coworkers, I'm going to tell everybody to come to you and da da da." And that's what ended up happening. We just got stronger. Gave us more fuel.
That's exactly what happened to me when, with my situation last year, being kicked out of my own business that I built.
I still can't believe that.
There were clients that either left or just are like, well, if you're leaving, why would I stay? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it made no sense. But yeah, you're so spot on with that. It's like, I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. It's like, be a joy to work with, be as professional and as skilled as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, people are coming for you and they stay, or let me say, they come for your skill. They love what you do, but then they get to know you, and then they become like a lifetime client because they just absolutely adore you.
100%. And for me, putting my business owner hat on, because I have owned big salons. That's a part of my story.
Talk about that. Yeah.
But you do have overhead that the commission stylist doesn't have. So being that you have promoted this person, all of those dollars in advertising and equipment, materials, all that things, that's on your dime. And so when they grow a following and they just leave, you feel like a part of you the part of you that left with them is their experience in your salon. And I think that's what gets missed, because it doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means they're ready to fly on their own. Yeah. And this is how you do it. This is how it goes, because it's always, it's give or take. It's give and take. They gave you also all their all, because they built that clientele, right, which you profited off of
right.
during the time that client worked in your salon, right? And so when that stylist leaves, it doesn't mean they're going to succeed. If they can't come back, if the bridge is burned, then what kind of teacher were you?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The bridge should never be burned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
it's almost like I think you nailed it, is you want to see them succeed, and it's don't take it personal because they decide to leave. There's definitely just being an authentic human being that cares.
That's where the value is.
Right.
Yeah, and you want them to, I have stylists that I talked to today, young stylists that I mentored and that worked for me. And, they quote things that I've said that I don't even remember saying. And, it's kind of cool. I'm glad that I left them with just joy when they think of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the big turning point where you go from this small secondary room to then owning a big salon? Like, what can you talk to me about? What took to get there, and what made you decide to want to go into like owning a bigger salon?
Yes. So I had I was fortunate that my counterpart, Christina, she had she just had business acumen. I did not have that. I'm more personable. And that's why me and my husband worked so well, because we'd be broke if it were up to me, right? So I was glad that I had her, because we counterbalanced each other perfectly. Yeah. So we were the owner of the salon suite place we worked in, Tom Franco. He owns a lot of buildings in Old Town, Scottsdale. Okay. So he owned our building. It was called Total Image Beauty Mall back then, and he found us a spot. So it was for 3. So myself, Vanessa, the colorist, and Christina, because Christina and I, mind you, when we came from departmentalized salons, so Tony and Guy, it was departmentalized. So you had to choose if you wanted to do color or cut. So we were cutters. We didn't do color at all. So Vanessa being a colorist, thank God, big, right? We formed that trio, and it was like we belonged together, and we just took off from there. Amazing. So Christina and I owned the business, and we called it In Demand because we were so busy. It was crazy. We were like, oh my gosh, like it was so much better than when we were at Tony and Guy.
So when you had the salon suite, what was the revenue every month coming in?
Oh my gosh. So back then, I would say, and another good piece of advice that I got, and I got it from one of my clients. She was a dentist, and she had her own practice. She said, because I was like, I don't know what to charge. I don't, I think
that's always a big question.
Yeah, and she said, well, first, what kind of life do you want to live? And then how much are you spending on all of your products? Like, what is your overhead? That's how you set your price. And what that looks like, I think I'm going to do a little course on that, because I can map it out, what that looks like, because it did work. And so that gave me a baseline in what I should charge, because you don't want to go max because there's no room to grow.
Do an example for me, like right now, like do it live.
I would say, for example.
So you said, what's the type of life you want to live?
Right. So I said I have to take care. I was married at the time.
2 kids.
So 2 kids. And so I said I have to contribute because we were a 2-income household. So I have to make what I made working at ASU, right, which I doubled working at Tony and Guy, but I have to at least make that, right?
Which was
at the time we charged $33 for a haircut. Okay. And then I think by the time I left, I was at 43 or 45 or something like that. Okay. And they took 60% of that.
Tony and Guy took 60%.
Correct. Woo! So I had 40%. So I had to at least make that. So that wasn't hard because I wasn't getting 100% of it anyway. So all I had to do in the beginning was charge that and make 100% of that. Right. And I was still making double of what I made before, if that makes sense, right? So I said, okay, so what I need to do is, gosh, this has been a long time, Martin, for me to map this out. That was like young Kim.
Well, I also want to know, like, before you go into it, is like, how did it look like back then? Like, was it word of mouth was the biggest?
Yeah, it was
marketing?
all word of mouth.
Like, you guys
100%. And business cards.
And business cards, okay.
Word of mouth and business cards. To this day, I've never advertised at all, but I have the advantage.
No walk-ins or anything like that?
I don't have the opening for a walk-in.
That's true.
So I've never, but I'm a product of when I came into the industry.
So you got to get so good and so well with people, be so good with people that people just keep coming because they trust the power of a testimony.
Yeah, and it's not just your hair skills either, by the way. It's how you present.
Exactly.
So if your hair is looking like tore up, well, who's going to trust you to make them beautiful, right? Yeah. Who's going to trust you to give them a new look or make them feel their prettiest, right? So when you come in sweatpants and looking like you just woke up, well, that's the kind of clientele you're going to, you're going to build more of that because like attracts like. Yeah. So for me, I always put myself together. I was fully put together every single time. That's how I showed up. So then I noticed my clients showed up that way. Even if they didn't start that way, they would come in all done, and I'm like,
and that's mindset.
Yeah. And so then if you took a snapshot of the salon, there were all these beautiful people in there. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm beautiful. I'm saying they were put together. Everyone looked like they had somewhere to be Monday morning, if you know what I mean. Right?
You're setting, like without even trying, you're setting this standard. So then from a psychological standpoint, when people see that, they're like, I want to go there because they seem like they have it all together.
You got it. They, look at them. They were asking me where I shopped, what do I eat? How do what do I do for my workout?
That's good.
It's so much more than you can cut their hair. Yeah. They want an experience. I think that's what makes a successful, just well-rounded experience for the client.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were charging $45, $43 a cut in the suite.
Yep.
So roughly how many clients were you?
In the beginning, I had to dial that back in. If I can go back and change, I would probably give myself boundaries. I didn't give myself any boundaries. I was working whenever they wanted me to. I remember leaving at midnight one time.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. I'm a mom. I have 2 young children at home. I can't work till midnight. Yeah. And this is dangerous, by the way. I'm a girl. I can't be walking to my car at midnight.
Facts.
Right?
Or having the shop open that late.
Yeah, it's just not safe.
Walking in, yeah.
Exactly. And then you teach people how to treat you. So they expect you to work till midnight. Yeah. So you want to give yourself boundaries in the beginning. Of course, that was something you don't know until after the fact, because hindsight's 2020. Yeah. But I figured it out quickly. It didn't go on for long. I said, nope, I'm working these hours. I'm going to work Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 5:30. Okay. I'm going to work Thursday, 10 a.m. to 5:30. I'm going to work Friday, 9 to 5. I'm going to work Saturday, 8 to 2. And the first Saturday of the month, I'm going to take off because my kids are young. They're in sports. It is ridiculous that I can't come to one single game. Right. And when I was at Tony and Guy, I had to work every single Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning to 5. I worked Sunday as well. And that is ridiculous, right? That I could never see anything. And that's part of why I quit. Because my son, he got pretty far up in the Grand Canyon State Games, the championships. He was in gymnastics. And I didn't know that he was going to win this what are you saying, semifinal and then go to the final. You don't know until it happens, and they wouldn't give me the time off. And I say, yeah, that's it. I got to go. But what I'm saying, all of that is to say those hours haven't changed. Those have been my hours this entire 29 years. I have not
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the first Saturday of every month.
I'm off.
You're off.
And I don't work Sunday and Wednesday, ever. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, off. So.
And when you set that standard, people will work with you.
They worked within that standard.
And you're like, why didn't I do this years ago?
And you know what else happened? Mm-hmm. I got bosses because they did not have to work. I got this clientele of housewives and socialites and athletes' wives, and that's who can come during the day. So that was the clientele I built.
I love that.
You know? And so I knew that.
How did you even determine that? Or you just like, I'm just going to experiment with this?
I think part of that, it was just a chain of events. I had one client that I met at Tony and Guy who was married to a basketball player who told a friend, who knew a baseball player's wife, who knew they all, you know, our kids go to dance together, or they go to the same school. This one told that one. That's how I ended up building that clientele. It was so fun. I had the best clientele. So fun.
So what was the shift that led you into the bigger suite? Because you said that.
Yeah, we had the three. We had the three-man show. Yep. Me, Christina, Vanessa. So much fun. And then Christina and I were ready to go bigger. And so that's when...
the business had to be bringing in a good amount of money.
Oh, it was crazy, Martin. Yeah. It was crazy. We were so busy.
Wow.
And so we went bigger. We went 10
But no matter how busy you got, you still stayed with that schedule.
I did.
See, and a lot of people would be like, I'm going to now sacrifice and add an extra day.
No.
Wow.
No, didn't need to.
Wow.
That money was flowing. It was good, and we had, I think, several price increases by then.
Wow.
And we just all worked in tandem. It was nice. So we went bigger, and we had a 10-chair, and then we did booth rental. So a lot of the girls that we worked with at Tony and Guy, they all came. Wow. I know. We all spoke the same language. Oh, that's amazing. All kind of did the same type of work. So it was so cohesive. It was cool. And so, yeah, we did that, Christine and I. And we did that stint. It was a 4-year lease. And right in the heart of Scottsdale, right down the street from Vidal Sassoon.
Wow.
Yeah, we were killing it, crushing it. And then we dissolved our partnership. Yeah, we kind of got on each other's nerve at that point.
Really?
It was, because, we're more successful than we've ever been. I have a convertible BMW. She has a convertible Mercedes. We were just kind of, almost got competitive in a very unhealthy, toxic way, unfortunately.
Are you guys still friends to this day or no?
I wouldn't say we're friends, but I wouldn't say we're enemies. I think we ended, life went on, we did different things, and but did it end with us liking each other? No, we got on each other's nerve.
Wow.
It was like a divorce. I was
So for the other, Christine and...
No, not Vanessa. So that's when Kim and Vanessa was born.
Okay.
So no, there was Kim in between. So I left there and I opened my own. I thought I was going to just go work in another salon just to take a break. And once she started giving me the rules and, I don't give a key. And then, all these expectations. When someone opens a salon and they're not a hairdresser, I was like, that's not going to work. So I got to go back and open my own salon, I guess. Dang. So I opened a 14-chair by myself. I'll never do that again. Vanessa came with me, but she was renting from me. And I ended up selling it after 2 years because it was 2008 and the whole world was crumbling in real estate. And so I was able to sell it, but I made another mistake. I worked in it. I just became a booth renter in a salon that I owned. I sold my name. Never, ever do that. Kim Allison Salon. Never, ever do that. Mm-hmm. because that's your reputation, your name, especially when it's your actual name.
Yeah, because you leave, they come,
yeah,
then it's like they're tying the bad experience with this new owner with your name.
Correct. And so she let the salon go to crap. Man. She bought it cash, and little unbeknownst to me, she was just, she was in and out of rehab, and her husband gave her something to do.
Are you allowed to say how much you sold it for?
Am I allowed to say? I don't know. I think I sold it for not a lot, I'll say.
6 figures at least?
No, not even close.
Not even 6 figures?
Not even close. It was less than 30,000.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm. And you know why? Because
of what was going on with the world at that time?
Well, that too. And I think there's nothing to sell. You know, everybody was renting their chair. So what am I selling? You know, if you're buying a business, you're buying something that's cash flowing. Usually at that time, who did I have? I had 4 booth renters. I had 3 commission stylists, and nobody was really making money because clients weren't coming. The world was crumbling and crashing.
I see.
I really didn't have anything to sell. So.
What was that makes sense.
Yeah, so I left there under duress because she stopped paying the rent and the owner of the building locked the doors. So, okay, Vanessa, we got to go. Let's skedaddle. That was 6 months later. She let it just go to pop. And went back to Tom, who owned went back to our old stomping grounds. Remember, makeup artist, the 2-man suite. Went back there. He had one little tiny suite available, and that girl wanted out. She wanted to work with some other girls, and so he said, "Oh, he's a businessman, right?" He finagled it, got a spot for you guys. He had it within a week. So this room was painted bright orange, but it was a cool orange. And I was like, So we're trying to think of a name. Back then, I loved shopping, right?
Yeah.
Still do. There was a boutique called Apricot Lane. There was this place I would go to get waxing, eyebrows and stuff. It was called the Glam Lounge. I liked both of those names, but they were taken, so I put them together.
That's smart.
Apricot Lounge. That's how we wanted it to be cozy, cute, de-stress, all the things we had been through. We didn't want to bring any of that in. And so we walk into this little orange studio that we could both barely fit in, thinking, oh my God, our bougie clients are going to come in here and go, okay, you guys have really, are we going downhill or what's happening? But we made it so cute, so comfy and cozy. In fact, we had a client at the time that was married to Amari Stoudemire, and he came in one day, just waiting for her, and he could barely fit in this little chair, but his legs were in the middle of our studio. He stretched them out. We're like, that's how small our studio was.
Wow.
So anyway, but so much fun. Our clients remember that. They're like, some of the best times where you guys were in that little orange studio. So from there is when we found where I am today. Palette Collective.
And that's the studio?
No, there was another studio in between. Oh my gosh. We went to a bigger studio in that building.
Okay.
And that's where we really kind of set our roots as a team, as a partnership.
You and Vanessa.
Me and Vanessa. Mm-hmm. And then we came over to Palette in 2018. And she retired 2020, and I'm still there. Just me. It's down to just me.
And that's the location where I've been to.
Correct.
Yeah. Basically right behind the Great Wolf Lodge now.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a really nice. I like that there's like a coffee shop in there.
And this one that we have now, they're out of Bali. They are. We don't even have chairs for our clients to sit. That's how busy they are.
Oh dang!
Every table full.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what's your plan with that? Like
Palette.
With everything that you've done now, like, are you looking to redo what you've done in the past and go a little bit bigger, or?
I have a couple of ideas. One, I feel like I have one more salon in me that I want to open and have commissioned stylists. Or I want to do a whole studio concept where I have a huge space and it has photography, it has content creation, it has hair, it has makeup. That's what I want. I want that too.
Partner with Amplify Studio.
Yeah, there you go. It has podcasting. It's just everything in one room. Mm-hmm. Because now I think you have to go one place to podcast. You have to go another place to do hair. You have to go another place to do photography. If that was just one place.
Exactly.
I think that would be so cool.
There's not a spot like that.
I know.
So, hey, Kim.
Yes. Yes.
There's people moving out.
Yes.
Take over this entire floor.
You know what? Not a bad idea.
Yeah, because that's kind of like my vision with this space, because I just love that it's so centralized. People come here, they love it because it's so close to all these nice restaurants nearby. And so it becomes an experience. So when podcasters come and they bring their guests, right after they are done podcasting, they'll go hang out and build a much more deeper relationship. So from a business standpoint too, it's like you get these business owners that you look up to be part of your podcast, then you build a relationship, and who knows where that will get. I've had clients that have interviewed people that they want to work with, and they eventually end up working together because they've built a relationship.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And then, so there's definitely something there.
Yeah.
But I love your story, and man, I love, like, what would you say to, like, if you were to do this all over again, right? And especially for a lot of the hairstyles, like, I'm sure that hairstyling is so much different now than it is back in your time. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you were to start from scratch, what would you tell the young stylists? Like, how would you tell them to approach it this time?
I would say to a young stylist is know that it's going to be hard. Like, don't go in thinking that I can do hair, I'm creative, and that's all it takes, because it takes so much more than that.
Yeah.
I would say to watch your money carefully and pay attention to where it's going, because you're so captivated by social media, you just want the trend. So you can easily today become a follower more than being in control of your own destiny. So I would say definitely don't lose yourself in that. I know you need social media because that's how you build a business today. That's now your new portfolio. It's your new business card. There's no turning back. Something I heard Chris Doe say in the podcast, he said, about AI, how people are like, oh, AI is going to take over people, blah, blah, blah. But he says, the ocean is the ocean. You just have to learn how to surf. It's not going to change. You're not going back. So you got to figure out how to make it work for you. Yeah. But the danger in social media is the trend. As much as your clients are bringing other people's work to you now, saying, here, do this.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, I got to learn how to do that. But what about the way you would do it? That part is leaving.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. I say that's what's going to differentiate you. I do not know how to talk either. Differentiate you. It's going to separate you from everyone else, because it's so easy now to be a big blob, if you will. So if you can just do one thing different, that's what I would tell a young person today.
It's when the whole gold rush was happening in the United States, who do you think got rich out of that?
The whole gold rush. I don't know. Do tell.
It was the people selling the shovel.
Ah, I love that.
Because the people that were, so it's like the same thing with the trend. So we get caught up in the trends and we want to do this, but be the person that supplies that trend.
That's right. Come up with foil. If we're foiling hair, then you come up with the latest foil. And if you're more of a creative, say you don't want to create a product, do one thing different. from your brain,
Yeah.
because that's your intellectual property. No one can take that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's yours.
Yeah.
And it means something. And when you think that people have seen this already, you'd be surprised how many people haven't.
Yeah.
You know, everybody doesn't everyone do it like this? No, they don't, because there's only one you. So when I started Trendy with Kim Allison, my YouTube show, I thought that. I still think it. I have imposter syndrome for sure.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing different? You know, I need to, you know, why would they watch this and not something else?
Yeah.
You know, what's going to make them listen to me, watch me? And then I realized nothing. You know, again, back to the salon owner who thinks they own the client. I don't own the audience. I can't make them do something that they don't want to do. Right? And I can only be me. That's it. And whoever resonates with who that person is, that's who subscribes to my channel. And so far, over 1,000 people do. So I'm going to keep being me. Right?
Right. Exactly. I love it. So what is the vision for Trendy with Kim Allison? Like what's in 5 years from now?
Oh my gosh. Have I wrote my plan? Have I taken my own medicine? No, I have not. I need to do that. But 5 years, I see Trendy with Kim Allison being more global, because it's going to parallel my life. And as I travel the world, this year we'll be in Asia for a month. And I actually want to do things on location. I see Kim Allison not just being virtual, but being more in person. I think that's what's missing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, every time you turn your social media on, you see two people stacked on top of each other, and you're like, okay, enough of that. I think that I'm going back to humans. We still exist. We're not robots
Telling
yet.
you, AI can't touch this right now.
Correct.
It's funny you say that, because so last night, obviously people love controversy. So Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy, she interviewed this girl from The Bachelor. It was a whole big thing, right?
Is she the one that just broke up with Matt James?
Yes. So she premiered her episode with her last night, right? And I was just curious to see, like, not only just like the way they shot it, but I was very like amazed. Like there was literally 158,000 people like waiting for this thing to drop, like on cue. And as it started, there was easily over 170,000 people watching.
Oh, she gets paid a crap ton of money for that following.
But I say that to say is that's how much power and impact using your voice can have.
100%.
So when you say that you feel like that's what's missing with Trendy, I 100% agree, because I think you're experiencing it right now. Like I'm interviewing you in person as opposed to virtually. And how much better is that? Oh,
absolutely. It's
a whole different dynamic.
It's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, and I also, for Trendy, because I love games, that's such a big part of my personality. So I want to kind of be more creative in that space. And I love reality TV.
Yeah.
And true crime. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but it's going to be in there. Somewhere, some way, somehow.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about my Patreon, where I can really dive deeper.
Yeah.
So that is the plan, and we will see where it goes.
So we're going to see a mix of you being an awesome and amazing host and having amazing conversation, not just with stylists, but fashionistas, designers,
makeup artists,
cooking, whatever that may be.
Because Trendy, the reason I didn't want to pigeonhole myself to niche all the way down to just hair, because that's not I'm not just hair. I'm so many other things.
Yeah.
And I want the freedom to be able to express those things through the show.
So what do you want people to get out of when they see Trendy? Mm-hmm. Like how would you describe that with?
I want them to feel that they are tuning into something fresh. I want them to feel like they're going to leave with something that connects, resonates, something that they didn't know they wanted to know. You know, just the way I built my hair career. It became, I was a personal trainer. I was a nutritionist. I was a therapist. I was a psychiatrist. I was more than just a hairdresser when I took that role. You know, that's what I think this show is going to be eventually. You're going to come on and you're going to ask me something else. And then that's going to grow a leg. Or you're going to notice something else. And then I'm going to be able to expound on that.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
Love it.
Yeah.
Any last departing words for the audience?
You know, I would like for the audience just to, you know, come in hot. I need to know what you think. I need to know what you want to know, because this is not for me. This is really for you, the audience. And, you know, my babies are the next generation of anything, of the beauty industry.
Yeah.
Because I believe that the old need the new and the new need the old. I don't like that word, old. I was going to stop. Seasoned. You know, I think that it completes the cycle.
Yeah.
You need all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I worked on location on Monday for a fashion shoot for Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. That. And all of them were young, and I could feel it. They looked at me like I was 100 years old, and I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's fine. You know, you do. I think when you're in that sweet spot of being in your 30s, you feel young enough but old enough, so you feel more entitled. But let me tell you something. You're going to blink and be 50 years old and go, what the? Yeah. You know what I mean? And just as there's a new crop right behind you looking at you like you're 100. And so that's why we all need each other.
Yeah.
We just do. You know, you're never going to have all the answers. If you think you have all the answers, you know absolutely nothing. There's always room to grow. There should be.
Yeah.
You know, your ego should never, and hair, we have big egos because we're so proud of our work. You know, and we take pride in that, which is why we're good at what we do. But at the same time, still leave room to grow. Like, keep that ego in check a little bit. It'll serve you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Love that. Mm-hmm. Well, this concludes our interview. I'm excited. I'm proud of you for getting this far on your own. I mean, you've had some help along the way with Mr. Mikey Mike.
And you, my mentor. I mean, you taught me how to use some of these things like that I used to record, and I couldn't have done that. I wouldn't have found any of that without you.
Well, I played a little part, but
big little part.
But no, I'm super excited with where Trendy is heading. I think there's going to be a lot of discovery process along this journey, but the biggest thing is just starting and doing it. And I think that's what you're doing now, and I'm so excited. And I just can't wait for people to get to know you more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I hope that too for Trendy, and I thank everyone for watching.